It is finally time. It's finally time that some guys are standing up against the SEC. And that's exactly what I got for you guys today. Coinbase is standing up against the SEC, shoving their foot down the door. And I'm loving it, guys. I am loving it. We've, however, got ourselves some crazy, wild, massive whale transactions happening. All of a sudden, hundreds of millions of XRP and hundreds of millions of dollars in Ethereum and crazy whales from 10, 13 years ago are all of a sudden deciding to move crypto. What's going on? Anyway, right now I'm recording this video from Austin, Texas. And even though on the channel I've been covering that the US is declining in a lot of different ways, and we can sit here discussing that for hours, one thing they do know how to do here over in the US, especially in Texas, is they know their freaking barbecue, guys. Anyway, over on Twitter, I've been covering some of these massive whales that are moving tons of money. Like, for example, a whale just moving 40,000 Ethereum, $70 million to Coinbase. Whenever I see such a massive transfer to an exchange, I know that they're going to sell, all right? Almost always happens that way unless they're trying to stake. But again, we're talking $70 million. These guys know something. And again, it's not like it's just one whale. There's a ton of them, guys. I'm serious. Some Bitcoin whales that have been dormant for many years have all of a sudden woken up recently. And by the way, guys, thank you for waking up and watching another one of my videos here. But if you haven't yet, make sure you press that like button. It is greatly appreciated. And, you know, why not? You're helping out anyway. So 3 whales with 8.2 thousand Bitcoin, $225 million, right? Pocket change. But anyway, have woken up in just 5 days. And the giant whale with 80,000 Bitcoin, $2.2 billion, has been dormant for 12 years. The price when he received Bitcoin was only 93 cents. Let's make sure we understand here that this $2.2 billion whale did not wake up. He's only just trying to warn us for the fact that the guy bought so ridiculously cheap. Somebody called out, hey, fake news, but all we're doing here is trying to beat the competition by knowing these things early. One of the things I've been telling you guys is like, watch the unlocks. Watch when these new coins get into circulation, for example, because yesterday, I believe, they sent crazy amounts of Arbitrum to all the DAOs, just as a reward, basically. And that's probably why the Arbitrum price is not doing so well. I think that this pump right here was just a little bit of a fake move because, well, everybody knew it was coming up. So it would be very strange for the price to go up like crazy, but it's a monthly perspective and you can see it's gone down from 177 to 131. And we already over the last week and a half or so, or 2 weeks, have been covering a couple of different Arbitrum strategies to hopefully make some good money. Because again, we're just trying to cover and we're just trying to replicate what the guys with hundreds of millions of dollars are doing right now as we speak. Anyway, I think we'll talk about this specific topic later, but like I said at the start of the video, right now, there's just a couple of strange coincidences going on. Things all of a sudden are matching up too coincidentally. For example, Twitter is going crazy over the fact that Tucker Carlson, if you don't know him, don't worry too much about it, but just let me tell you, that all of a sudden, he gave a crazy speech, boom, fired next day, and apparently he only knew 10 minutes before he got fired. He's just going for, like kind of Patriot here talks about. He's basically making a little bit of fun of the politics that's going on. And as we all know, that ain't that smart, but a lot of people are talking about the fact that this is all one grand big thing going on, as quite recently we've also been covering some of the major moves by major fund managers all of a sudden not being so excited anymore about major stocks. And that's also for the most part because in the back end of things are not that good. I keep telling you, Indonesia's following BRICS de-dollarization lead, says central bank governor. This is so much deeper than might meet the eye. But again, let's talk about these whales. Let's talk about the Coinbase lawsuit. Ripple and whales move 350 million XRP as the price drops below. There's crazy amount of skepticism about the XRP price. There's even articles right now talking about how high the XRP price really has gone in the past. But yeah, in my own opinion, the fact that Ripple is moving so much money around, as again, a lot of this is based on Ripple, or is based from Ripple, it means they probably got some good deal with an exchange, and something along those lines is probably very good. Again, it's said here that 70 million XRP was sent to Bitso, which is one of the major exchanges facilitating ODL, which is one of Ripple's solutions. I can't say that's bad. And these major will transactions, well, we don't officially know what's going on, but Bitso is involved in at least a couple of them. But again, there's so many huge transactions. Why exactly that's the case, I do not know. And I can't say they're good or bad because it's unknown to unknown. Again, for all of you that do not know, if it's an unknown wallet to a exchange wallet, usually that's extra selling pressure. If it's from an exchange wallet to an unknown wallet, usually we consider that pretty damn bullish. Again, just to put it into perspective here, we want less money, less Bitcoin, less cryptocurrency as a whole on these exchanges. That makes us more bullish because that means there's less selling pressure. It's not officially the case, but generally speaking, it's just a rule of thumb. So if they take the money out of exchanges, we expect them not to sell anytime soon. Here's what you need to know about the Coinbase lawsuit though. What's going on? This will move fast, unlike the Ripple case. The case begins in the appellate court, not the trial court. And there will be no discovery, depositions, and document exchange, just briefing and a hearing. Coinbase is an all-star legal team led by Eugene Scalia, who is the former Secretary of Labor and son of deceased Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. Scalia has experience defeating government agencies because he's apparently already beat the SEC in court before, and the petition filed yesterday is now quite persuasive. Coinbase is seeking a writ of mandamus, which is a court order compelling the SEC to do its job, right? They should do their job properly and announce a decision on Coinbase's request for rulemaking. This action does not necessarily affect the SEC's timing for suing Coinbase, as it has threatened to do. And I expect major industry players to pile in with amicus briefs supporting Coinbase's position. We might also see the House Financial Services Committee or individual members come in with briefs in support of Coinbase. The SEC commissioners will have to approve any response to Coinbase's action, which is going to be one of the most interesting parts about this all. And there's a tiny chance, teeny tiny chance, the SEC will blink and agree to engage in rulemaking if just one commissioner withdraws their support for Gary Gensler's regulation by enforcement strategy. He's done. And while Coinbase's action does not directly affect pending SEC cases, like the one against Ripple or XRP or against Bittrex, etc., it does a great job of shining a spotlight on the SEC's contradictory positions about its authority and the way they're trying to do things with regards to regulating digital assets. Other judges will take note. And my view about this all, and I think most of you will agree with this, is we just need one person at the SEC to be like, you know what? This ain't right. All right? This ain't the way we should do things. Gary Gensler, get out of there. All right? Or just one person in Congress, like we've seen before when Gary Gensler got questioned, to really be like, hey, you know what? Let's set this through. He puts the money where his mouth is and gets shit done, because we've got guys like Davidson, right? Where if you don't remember, when Gary Gensler spoke in front of Congress, there were a couple of guys that said, hey, Gary Gensler, you've not been doing a good job, or you're doing a strange job. And Davidson, one of the guys, he actually said, get Gary Gensler out of that position and just get somebody that has to like explain his decisions rather than like this sort of figure, like this tyrant of a figure. You know, the Gary Gensler, the way he's been operating is he doesn't really have to explain his decisions too much, which is suing everybody and grabbing power, because who exactly is going to ask them questions, right? And they wanted a new entity that basically has to explain the decisions, etc., etc., etc. And it's a very good idea. Point being, the majority of the guys over there are not really behind him. They're not rallying, saying, you know what, Gary Gensler, maybe get out. A lot of these guys have been sucking his ass, it seems. And a lot of major companies are too afraid to put their foot forward, which again, I understand. If you've got many investors, you might not want to be the guy with the big balls to go and fight your way against regulation. You don't want to do that, which is why many exchanges comply with those crazy rules, etc. Because you'd rather sometimes circumvent the discomfort, circumvent all these legal proceedings, because you have to understand, or procedures, it costs a frick ton of money. It's not good press. And it's an uphill battle. So Coinbase right now has got some not the biggest like steel balls like Ripple's got fighting this case, but they've got some balls at least, whereas a lot of other companies don't, which again, I understand, but that's why I'm so excited about this now, because it will show this first judge that there's something sketchy going on, and the other judges will take notice. Every single thing we got against the SEC will probably only work in our favor because, well, we've seen with the XRP lawsuit that 70,000 people signed in saying, hey, we don't really think what's happening here is really a good idea. But not the fact that Coinbase is stepping in. They already did with, joining Ripple, etc., but like majorly stepping in now. And that's going to lead into a lot of other players signing their name on this, saying, hey, we also don't think what's going on is proper here. And just the more figures we got, the more authority we got, the more of a chance we have that this is going to be taken down at some point. And at the end of the day, that's really the main thing of what we're going for. You can also see from the CLO of Coinbase say today, we filed a narrow action in the U.S. Circuit Court to compel the SEC to respond yes or no to a rulemaking petition we filed with them last July, asking them to provide regulatory guidance for the crypto industry. So again, to rephrase it, Coinbase just wants the SEC to make some decisive rules on crypto, and they decided to ignore it. So right now, they're taking it a step further to make sure they actually go for it. The SEC is required by law to respond to petitions with a reasonable time, but they have not yet responded to our petition from last July, which is why we filed our action in court today. It's obvious there's a lack of clarity among our regulators regarding crypto, as even the chair of the SEC has declined to say which crypto are securities when he was asked in Congress quite recently. The crypto industry and its users need clear laws and rules to follow that are built for new technology. Enforcement actions based on inapplicable securities laws are not the answer, which again has been the way the SEC does all their business quite recently. And like Hogan also says, the best defense is a good offense. Coinbase versus SEC. Apparently, Coinbase wasn't going to just sit around and wait for the inevitable lawsuit from the SEC, but they're taking the first freaking jab, and I love it. So yeah, pretty big headlines, which is good because it can ripple through a little bit. Over 1,700 proper entities have actually submitted comments in support of Coinbase's petition, which was filed all the way back in July, but right now they've still not replied. Again, I personally think for the Ripple lawsuit, this also kind of helps because if we do get a decision in there, even though it's not a direct correlation with one another, it kind of shows the fact that a lot of these entities are asking questions, and so to prove then that Ripple knowingly did stuff bad when no company basically knows exactly what the rules are, that's going to be more difficult once they, fully get the context, I guess, there, or the judge can still look at all that and understand it. Or more importantly, let's say something bad happens as a first result in the Ripple lawsuit, then at least in the Supreme Court or higher court, they're going to take all of this into consideration. Don't quote me on that, not a legal advisor. I always see those comments of they don't take in new evidence, etc. But I'm just saying here it makes sense for all these other cases to then make their way over because it just proves more the point that nobody really understands what the rules are, and the fact that the SEC has been neglectful in all the main questions, even though their stance is always come in and talk to us, ask your questions, come on, we're trying to help you. The moment you come to their door like knocking, like, hey, you got a couple of questions, like, get out of there, yeah. They try to like beat you down or something. Yeah, it's just a funny little thing I've noticed. It's like, we invite you. We've got the door open. But it's like, oh, the door is open, but there's freaking big locked bars, so you still can't pass. So you can shout through, but you're not going to get a response, And you can't really enter because, well, it's like a jail cell, like with those freaking steel bars and things. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's it for this video. I got a couple cool topics, but I think I might cover them a little bit later today. It's going to be a bit adaptive. Right now, it's like 12 p.m., which Dubai time is like 10 p.m., right? So I'm going to have to kind of struggle a little bit with what times to upload, etc. You might see some crazy upload times here as, I'm only here for a little bit though. But yeah, America's pretty cool. Austin, Texas, pretty awesome. And if you've watched this far into the video, just comment down below. Let's go!